When the world grows quiet and the final hours of the day arrive, there is a sacred opportunity hidden in the silence. The night carries a weight that the day does not. The day demands action, responsibility, and decision. But the night invites reflection, surrender, and stillness. Before your eyes close and your body surrenders to rest, your spirit can choose to speak. And what you speak at the doorway of sleep determines the condition of your soul as you rise again. There are words not of routine, not of empty repetition, but of genuine surrender that align you with the breath of eternity. When spoken, these words do not merely vanish into the air. They take form, they carry weight, and they invite a presence into your being that sustains you through both the night and the coming day. To speak to the Holy Spirit before sleep is not a ritual of religion, it is a conversation of intimacy. It is not a box to check, but an opening of the heart and awareness that the one who created breath still breathes within you. The first thing to say is simple, yet it requires courage. Thank you. Gratitude may sound small, but in the language of the Spirit, it is the key that unlocks peace. At the end of the day, not everything has gone as you planned. There may have been failures, disappointments, words you wish you had not spoken, moments you wish you had chosen differently. And yet, in the midst of imperfection, there was still breath in your lungs, strength in your body, a chance to live one more day, to say, thank you. Before sleep is to acknowledge that even if the day felt broken, it was still a gift. Gratitude does not erase your pain, but it prevents your pain from erasing your perspective. It tells the spirit, I recognize the unseen hands that carried me when I was unaware. Gratitude is a bridge. It lifts you above complaint, above regret, and positions you in trust. The second thing to say is a surrender, guide me. Sleep is not just the closing of eyes, it is a rehearsal of letting go. When you surrender to sleep, you are no longer in control. You do not control your heartbeat, your breath, or the hours that pass. In the same way, your life requires a surrender beyond what your hands can control. To ask, guide me, is to admit that your wisdom is not enough, your strength is not unending, and your plans are not always clear. The Spirit does not force direction, the Spirit waits for permission. And when you say these words, you create space for guidance, for correction, for a wisdom that is not of this world. You may not know what tomorrow will bring, but in the stillness of your surrender, you anchor yourself in the one who does. To ask for guidance before sleep is like planting a seed in the soil of the night. By morning, unseen roots have begun to form, and the day grows from a foundation that is no longer your own. The third thing to say is the most vulnerable. Stay with me. Loneliness has a way of echoing loudest in the night. The quiet amplifies what the day keeps hidden. But the truth is the Spirit does not abandon. To whisper, stay with me, is not a request made out of fear. It is a reminder of your deepest need for presence. You may surround yourself with people, possessions, or accomplishments, but none of them silence the ache of the soul like companionship that does not leave. To say, stay with me, before sleep is to confess that without presence, all other blessings are empty. It is to awaken your heart to the reality that you are not walking alone, not even in the shadows. The Spirit's nearness is not conditional. It does not fluctuate with your emotions, nor does it retreat when you stumble. To speak these words is to awaken a greater awareness of what has always been true. Each of these three phrases carries a weight that is larger than the words themselves. Thank you opens the door to peace. Wide mid lays down the burden of control. Stay with me welcomes presence into your vulnerability. Together, they are more than a bedtime prayer. They are a pattern of the soul. To repeat them nightly is to reshape your inner world. It is to choose gratitude over bitterness, surrender over stubbornness, and companionship over isolation. The night then becomes holy. Sleep becomes more than rest for the body, it becomes rest for the soul. The Spirit moves not because you forced it, but because you invited it. And when morning comes, we awaken not just physically renewed, but spiritually aligned. The world may present chaos, but your center will not be shaken. The day may bring uncertainty, but your heart will not be lost. Because in the stillness of the night, you spoke words that reshaped the unseen. Do not underestimate the quiet. Do not dismiss the whispers of your own soul before the stillness of sleep. What you sow in the silence of night will determine the harvest of your days. And so, when you lie down and your thoughts begin to scatter, remember these three things. Speak them slowly, not as a ritual, but as an offering. Let gratitude settle your heart. Let surrender calm your mind. And let presence embrace your spirit. These are not merely words, they are doorways. And once opened, they do not close. When the night deepens and silence surrounds you, something profound happens within the human spirit. The distractions that fought for your attention during the day lose their power. The weight of responsibilities no longer presses against you with the same urgency. And in that stillness, your soul becomes most receptive. The whisper of the Spirit is clearest when the world has grown quiet. This is why the words you choose before sleep are not small, but sacred. They echo through the chambers of your soul long after your conscious mind has drifted away. When you say, "Thank you," it is not simply a polite acknowledgement of life's gifts. It is a declaration of awareness. Gratitude reminds you that life itself is a miracle. Consider the breath that flows in and out of your lungs without your command. Consider the beating of your heart, faithful even when your mind is elsewhere. Consider the fact that while others did not see the end of this day, you are still here, still breathing, still gifted with another moment. Gratitude reframes your entire existence. It does not deny the hardships, but it refuses to let the hardships define the day. Each night, when you whisper, "Thank you," it is like placing a jewel into the treasury of your soul. Over time, your spirit becomes rich, not because you collected material possessions, but because you recognize the sacredness in the ordinary. But gratitude alone is not enough. Gratitude looks back and acknowledges the gift of what has been. Yet life is always moving forward, always demanding steps into the unknown. That is why the words "guide me" are just as necessary. To ask for guidance is to admit that you are not the master of every path, not the architect of every tomorrow. Your eyes can only see so far. Your mind can only calculate so much. But there is a wisdom that stretches beyond the limits of human understanding. There is a way prepared that you cannot yet perceive. And so, when you say, "Wide me," you are stepping into humility. You are releasing the illusion that control will keep you safe. You are surrendering the map you have drawn and acknowledging that there may be a higher way, one you could not have charted on your own. Think about the nature of sleep itself. Each night, without resistance, you release your consciousness. You entrust yourself to the unknown. You do not control your dreams. You do not direct the rhythms of your body, and yet you surrender willingly because you trust the process of rest. This is what guide me means on a deeper level. Just as you surrender to sleep, you surrender your life to divine guidance. You do not demand to know every step ahead, but you rest in trust that the one leading you will not abandon you. Tomorrow may be filled with challenges or unexpected turns, but guidance ensures that you will not walk blindly. It ensures that even in the shadows, there is a hand directing you toward the light. Then comes the third phrase, "Stay with me." This is the most intimate, the most vulnerable, the one that exposes the truest need of the human heart. We are not merely afraid of failure. We are not merely afraid of uncertainty. At the core, we are afraid of being left alone. Loneliness cuts deeper than most wounds because it touches the soul. To ask, "Stay with me," is to confess that presence is more valuable than answers, that companionship is more important than clarity, and the spirit responds not with conditions, but with constancy. The presence of the spirit is not fragile. It does not vanish when you stumble, nor does it grow distant when your faith feels small. It remains steady and unshaken, waiting for your awareness to return. There are moments when even saying, "Stay with me," feels unnecessary because the truth is, the Spirit has never left. But the act of saying it is for your heart, not for the Spirit. It is to awaken yourself to the reality that you are never abandoned. To rest in that truth as you close your eyes is to sleep differently. You do not drift off weighed by fear, but held by presence. You do not toss with anxiety, but sink into peace. And when you wake, you do not rise empty, but renewed. Together, these three phrases create a rhythm, a nightly song for the soul: gratitude, surrender, and presence, each flowing into the other. Thank you clears the heart of bitterness. Wide me clears the mind of pride. Stay with me clears the soul of loneliness. And when these three combine, you are prepared not just for rest, but for transformation. It is important to remember that these words are not meant to be rushed. They are not hurried sentences before your eyes grow heavy. They are invitations to slow down. Let each word linger. When you say, "Thank you," pause long enough to remember something specific: the breath in your chest, the roof over your head, the simple gift of being alive to witness another sunset. When you say, "Wide me," let your heart reflect on the uncertainties you carry, the decisions you do not yet know how to make, the paths that seem unclear, the relationships that weigh heavy. Place them gently into the hands of the Spirit. And when you say, "Stay with me," do not just speak it, but feel it. Feel the quiet assurance that presence is already surrounding you, already filling the emptiness, already silencing the fear. As days become weeks and weeks become months, this practice reshapes you. What begins as words becomes a way of being. Gratitude becomes the lens through which you see life. Surrender becomes the posture of your heart. Presence becomes your constant reality. This is the hidden power of repetition, not mechanical recitation, but the forming of the soul, just as water shapes stone not by force, but by persistence. These words shape you through consistency. Over time, your spirit becomes softer, stronger, and more attuned to the sacred in every moment. Think about how you spend your last thoughts before sleep. For many, the last thoughts are of worry, unfinished tasks, regrets from the day, fears about tomorrow. These thoughts not disappear when you sleep. They sink into the soil of your subconscious and rise again in the morning, shaping your mood, your perspective, your choices. But when your last thoughts are gratitude, surrender, and presence, something shifts. The night becomes not an extension of anxiety, but a sanctuary for the soul. You rise not carrying yesterday's weight, but with a spirit already aligned for the new day. There is a wisdom in beginning and ending the day well. The morning sets the tone, but the evening sets the foundation. What you allow to rest in your heart at night is what grows in your spirit by day. This is why these three phrases matter so deeply. They are not just words for sleep, they are seeds for transformation, and every night gives you a new chance to plant them. Imagine your life after weeks of practicing this. Your mornings begin lighter, your days unfold with more clarity, and your nights are filled with peace. Gratitude guards you from bitterness. Surrender guards you from pride. Presence guards you from despair. This is not theory. It is reality for those who choose to open themselves to it. The Spirit does not force entry into your heart. It does not storm the gates of your soul. It waits for invitation. And when you open the door with words like these, you find that what enters is not just comfort, but transformation. You become calmer in chaos, more hopeful in despair, we more grounded in uncertainty. You carry within you a stillness that is not dependent on circumstance, but anchored in something eternal. And it begins each night in the quiet when the world falls silent and your soul chooses to speak. So, as the night wraps itself around you and the noise of the day finally fades, remember that what you choose to whisper into the silence is not small. These three phrases are not just words, but doorways. Will they open you to gratitude that shifts your heart, to guidance that steadies your steps, and to presence that assures you that you are never alone. They shape how you rest, how you rise, and how you live. And when you carry them consistently, you begin to notice that life feels less heavy, your spirit feels less restless, and your heart begins to recognize peace where it once only knew turmoil. In the end, it is not about saying something profound, but about returning to the simplicity that makes your soul breathe freely again. When you close your eyes with thankfulness, surrender, and awareness of presence, you are never merely ending a day. You are opening yourself to transformation that quietly begins in the dark and unfolds in the light.